A very good day to all of you. Today we are going to start the 7th lesson from grade 10 Health and Physical Education lesson series. And the lesson is on having nutritious food for healthy living. Alright, so let's talk about the importance of nutritious food. Why should we eat nutritious food? So we have learned that in order to become a healthy person, we have to have good physical health, mental health, social health, and spiritual health. So all these factors contribute to a healthy person. And when it comes to nutritious food, it comes under physical health. It is a factor affecting a person's physical health. And what will happen if a person has a poor nutrition? And if a person has a poor nutrition, that person might show the following symptoms, like he might have reduced energy, that means not enough energy to get through the day, and then mental fitness, because nutrients not only contribute to your physical health, but it's going to affect how your brain works as well. So it's going to affect mental fitness. And then poor immunity. Immunity means you're not, whether you're strong enough to fight against diseases. If you have a poor immunity, that means you will catch diseases very easily. That means you are not strong enough to fight against diseases. And then nutritious, like if a person doesn't take enough nutritious food, that will cause long-term illnesses as well. And also when we consider all of them as a whole, all of these above factors can cause a poor health in an individual. So we know that there's a certain working capacity of a person. But if we compare the working capacity of a person with a poor nutritional condition and a person with a good nutritional condition, obviously the working capacity of a person with a poor nutritional condition will be lower because he doesn't have energy to get through the day, to attend to his task. And this is going to have a negative effect on that person, and not only on that person, but it's going to affect the whole economy of the country in general. Suppose there are hundreds and thousands of similar people out there, like with less working capacity. So it's going to affect the economy of a country. And also when children are affected by nutritional problems, when it comes to children, that is going to affect their education, their capacity to think and to grow, like physically grow, and then also on their personality. So such factors are going to affect individually, and then the family, and then at the end, the whole nation is going to be affected by less nutritious food. So therefore really it's important to take nutritious food into our bodies because of all these reasons. Let's talk about nutrients in food. So the nutrients in food can be divided into two main components as macronutrients and micronutrients. So the word macro itself gives you an idea that it is in large amounts. Macronutrients means nutrients in the diet that are required in large amounts. So we have three macronutrients. Those are carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. And micronutrients means nutrients in the diet that are required in small quantities. That means we don't need a lot of micronutrients to our body. We need them in small amounts. But when it comes to macronutrients, we need them in larger quantities. So vitamins and minerals are the micronutrients. They are needed to protect the body. So macronutrients are the ones which basically contribute to the energy that we need. So the foods which give us energy and the foods which help help our body to grow are the macronutrients, which includes carbohydrates, proteins and fats. Micronutrients, they basically protect the body from diseases, vitamins and minerals. There are many other benefits of taking vitamins and minerals into our body, but we are just going to remember they are needed to protect the body. And then we'll be talking about the nutritional problems in Sri Lanka. So the word malnutrition means something which occurs due to lack of proper nutrition or else due to excessive consumption of nutrients. That means if somebody is not taking enough nutritious food into their body, malnutrition could be a result. And also if somebody is eating too much, consuming too much, that can also cause malnutrition. So malnutrition means not only undernutrition, that is what you need to remember, but it is also overnutrition. So malnutrition is the word that we give for both of these two types of malnutrition, right? Whether it could be undernutrition or overnutrition. If we talk about undernutrition, the common nutritional problem in developing countries is undernutrition. Like when it comes to developed countries, mostly the Western countries, the problem they have is overnutrition. But countries like us and other developing countries, the problem is undernutrition. So undernutrition happens when people don't take in enough amount of macronutrients through their diet. So the macronutrients are carbohydrates, proteins and fats. If people don't take in carbohydrates, proteins and fats in their diet, they are going to get into this condition called undernutrition. So any person of any age in their lifetime can develop undernutrition. However, all over the world, the main victims are children. Children are the ones who get into undernutrition most commonly. So there are adverse effects of undernutrition, like even though they get into undernutrition during their childhood, it's going to cause them lifelong difficult conditions. And then there are two different effects of undernutrition. One is stunting. Stunting means you don't have enough height for your age. Wasting means inappropriate weight for the height. That means you don't have enough weight that you should have for your height. So there's another definition for that. As you can see, stunting, the height being below -2 SD line in height for age chart. So this SD means standard deviation. It's a statistic expression, and we kind of have talked about this in the first lesson. If you go look at our first video from the first lesson, you can get some sort of an understanding what this SD line means. So the problem of undernutrition happens as a result of lack of required nutrients to the body. That means it happens when you don't take enough nutrients to the body. So this could happen over a short period and also over a long period of time. For example, diseases such as diarrhea or any other worm infestations, when you get diseases like that, that can lead to temporary weight loss and also which can lead to wasting. Wasting means you lose your weight, but that is temporary, and you might put on some weight later on when you start taking a proper diet. But the problem is, if it remains for a very long time, that's going to cause other side effects, harmful effects. So if you look at the harmful effects of undernutrition, one is inactivity and being less productive. Like I said before, macronutrients are the main nutrients which give us energy and also which help our body to grow. So if we are out of energy, that means we are less productive. We don't have the strength to work. Our work capacity will be low. And then retarded physical growth. So like I said before, if you are not taking enough proteins, carbohydrates, fats, your body will not grow, especially proteins. You need proteins for your muscle growth. Therefore, if you don't take enough proteins, it's going to cause retarded physical growth and prone to diseases. So when your body gets weak, you lose your immunity. Immunity means the ability to fight against diseases. You will be prone to more diseases. You will get diseases quickly. Then being poor concentration and memory power. So like I said, you need nutrients for your brain as well. Brain is one of the organs in our body. The brain also needs nutrients to function. So if you don't take enough nutrients to your body, that is going to affect your brain functions as well. And that will cause problems in concentration, your memory, and also other learning difficulties. And low life expectancy means like with this weak body you have, you might not be expecting, and you cannot expect a long, healthy life. You will have to suffer through a lot of diseases, and your life expectancy will also be low. And also females, especially females, they have to make sure that they stay nourished. Otherwise, undernourished females can give birth to low birth weight babies. That means babies with low birth weight, and there could be an increase in infant death rates as well. So those are some of the harmful effects of undernutrition. Next, we are going to talk about overnutrition. So overnutrition has also become a major nutritional problem all over the world. And overnutrition is a result of excess amounts of macronutrients, especially the excess intake of sugar and fat. So sugar comes under carbohydrates, and fats in the sense mostly unhealthy fats. For example, fats that are coming from fast food. So there are two examples of overnutrition: overweight and obesity. Overweight has the risk of developing obesity. That means obesity comes after overweight. And obesity means it is at a disease state. That person is already having a certain disease called obesity. So overweight is also the BMI between +1 SD, that means standard deviation, to +2 SD. And obesity means +2 SD line and above. That means way above the average weight of a person. Overweight means like slightly above the average weight of a person. Obesity is way above the average weight. And this one also we have discussed this in the first lesson. You can go and have a look at it. So obesity can also lead to certain types of problems. One of the main problems are non-communicable diseases. overnutrition or overweight and obesity can cause non-communicable diseases like heart diseases, diabetes, and stroke. And also, it is going to cause diseases related to joints and bones as well. So when it comes to joint and bone problems, when a person has extra weight in his body, this extra weight puts more pressure on his joints and they can lead to arthritis and other joint pain problems. And also, it has been found that obesity can weaken the bones and increase the risk of fractures as well. And then the next point is lower work efficiency. That means obesity can cause fatigue, making it harder for people to stay active and productive throughout the day. And it can also lead to problems like sleep problems and also reduce concentration and other energy levels. So the working capacity of that obese person would be low. And also these obese and overweight people, they face social difficulties. Maybe they might be facing discrimination, bullying, or other types of negative social attitudes. And this can limit their participation in social and physical activities as well. And also, if somebody is obese, they might be suffering from other mental health issues as well, because it has been found in many researchers that obesity is linked to low self-esteem, anxiety, and depression. And also, social isolation. They might isolate themselves, whereas other people might be outcasting them. So, this social isolation and also their consciousness about their body image, these things can worsen a person's mental well-being. So therefore, it's really important to maintain a healthy weight through balanced nutrition and physical activity in order to prevent all these issues. Let's talk about micronutrient deficiency. So if you don't take enough micronutrients over a long period of time, that can result in micronutritional deficiencies. So remember that it should be over a long period of time. The lack of nutrients in our daily food intake over a long period results in micronutritional deficiencies. So a person might get one of these deficiencies or maybe several of them. So here are the most common micronutritional deficiencies. There are some other deficiencies as well, but we are going to talk about the common 5. There's iron deficiency, iodine deficiency, vitamin A deficiency, calcium deficiency, and zinc deficiency. Let's talk about each of these deficiencies in the next few slides. Okay, let's start off with iron deficiency, and we'll be talking about causes of iron deficiency. What can cause an iron deficiency in a person? So point number 1 is low intake of iron-rich foods. That means if you are not eating enough foods like red meat, leafy greens, beans, and nuts, this can lead to iron deficiency. And also poor iron absorption. That means if your body may not be able to absorb iron properly due to conditions like celiac disease, or maybe if you are consuming tea or coffee right after your meals, this can also hinder the absorption of iron. And then number 3, unhealthy eating habits. That means if you are skipping your meals or if you are eating processed foods instead of home cooked meals, or if you're not including a variety of nutrients into your diet, this can contribute to iron deficiency. And then intestinal bleeding due to worm infestations. That means if there are parasitic infestations in the intestines of a person, because these parasitic infections in the intestines can cause internal bleeding, and when you bleed, that means you are leading it to iron loss. Iron is like one of the main components in our blood. So if there's any kind of internal bleeding, you are losing iron. And heavy menstrual bleeding in women. So that means women who experience excessive blood loss during their periods may also become iron deficient over time if they don't replace it. Like even though they replace it, if they have like uncommonly heavy bleeding, that can cause an iron deficiency over time. And then if we look at the harmful effects of iron deficiency, it can cause anemia, and also anemia is a Weber's condition of iron deficiency. And lethargy. Lethargy means a person feels lazy, like loss of energy, and like they don't have enough working capacity to do. And also low birth weight babies. When it comes to pregnant mothers with iron deficiency, they might give birth to low birth weight babies. And fatigue. Fatigue also means not enough energy to attend the task. And then poor concentration and growth retardation. Retardation means poor growth. So these are the harmful effects of iron deficiency. And then if we talk about the preventive actions that can be taken to reduce iron deficiency, one is that a person can include foods rich in iron in their daily diet. Especially they have to include animal proteins like meat, eggs, and other than that, other types of food like red rice, beans, cashew nuts, peanuts, that means types of nuts, into their diet. And also pregnant mothers, they should take a well-balanced, iron-rich diet so that they don't suffer any kind of deficiencies. And also items such as tea and coffee, they should not be taken 1 to 2 hours after the main meal or even before the main meal. And also when eating food, one can eat food in a way that improves the absorption of iron. For example, if you are eating leafy greens, if you can add some lime juice to the leafy greens or the palamellum that you eat, that can improve absorption of iron. Even if you can take fruits after a meal, that means you are getting all these citric acid, right? So citric acid that can also improve the absorption of iron. Selecting iron fortified food. There are certain types of cereals, corn flakes, and even sometimes milk with iron fortified ones. So selecting iron fortified foods are also possible, like especially if somebody is having an iron deficiency. And also taking the iron tablet given to children at school by the government. And in the figure that's given here, you can see the types of food rich in iron, and you can make sure that you include them in your diet properly. And then let's talk about vitamin A deficiency, the causes of vitamin A deficiency. So one of the causes is, so if we talk about the causes of vitamin A deficiency, one of the causes is inadequate breastfeeding. So breast milk is a natural source of vitamin A. So if babies are not breastfed for a sufficient period of time, they may lack this essential nutrient. So inadequate breastfeeding can be causing vitamin A deficiency. And then improper food storage. Storing food incorrectly can also lead to the loss of vitamin A and reducing its nutritional value. And then incorrect food preparation, that means if somebody is overcooking or cooking a certain food with too much heat, that can also destroy vitamin A in foods. Then frequent worm infections. There are certain parasitic infections that can interfere with nutrient absorption and cause deficiencies. And then low intake of vitamin A rich foods. If you are not consuming enough foods like carrots, leafy greens, fish, liver, and dairy products, that can also cause you vitamin A deficiency. Then if we look at the effects of vitamin A deficiency, one of the most common effects are night blindness, and then there is bitter spots in the eye, dryness in the eye, weakness in sight, diseases of the respiratory tract often contracted, and diarrhea easily develop. So vitamin A is really important for your eyesight. As you can see, if there is any kind of vitamin A, like if there's any vitamin A deficiency, that is going to cause you a lot of problems related to your eyes and your eyesight. And other than that, it also can cause diarrhea and also diseases of the respiratory tract. Let's look at the preventive actions that can be taken to reduce vitamin A deficiency. So the first thing is make sure that you take a lot of green and yellow colored vegetables and fruits in your diet. So it is said that these green colored and yellow colored vegetables and fruits have more vitamin A in them. And also taking the vitamin A drops orally, which is given through state institutions. This is usually given to children in their early childhood. At very young ages, you might not even remember it. So it's important that kids are given the vitamin A drops when they are given through the state institutions. And also the breastfeeding mothers should make sure that they continue breastfeeding at least up to 2 years of age. I mean, yes, they can come up with complementary foods after the first 6 months, but if they can continue their breastfeeding along with other complementary foods up to 2 years, it's ideal and it's a great way to reduce vitamin A deficiency. And also, the breastfeeding mothers, they have to make sure that they don't throw away the colostrum in milk. Colostrum is like the part of milk during first few days given to a newborn by a breastfeeding mother, and this colostrum is rich in vitamin A. Like this is, I guess, specially mentioned here because some time back the breastfeeding mothers used to throw away the colostrum and then after that to provide milk for the newborn. But colostrum is a really nutritious part of the milk. Therefore, it should not be thrown away, and make sure that the colostrum should be given to the newborn. And in the figure, you can see some of the foods rich in vitamin A, and go through these foods, get an idea of them, and make sure that you add them to your diet daily. In this slide, we are going to talk about causes of iodine deficiency and the harmful effects of iodine deficiency. So if you talk about the causes of iodine deficiency, first factor is lack of iodine in the diet. That means if you are not consuming enough iodine-rich foods. So what are the iodine-rich foods? Seafood, dairy, iodized salt. So these are the iodine-rich foods. So if you are not consuming enough iodine-rich foods, that is going to lead you to a deficiency. And then low consumption of sea vegetables. That means seaweed, kelp, and other iodine-rich marine foods are not commonly included in many of our diets. So that is going to reduce our iodine intake. So, and then soil iodine depletion, that means like in hilly areas of our country, there's soil erosion. Soil erosion can wash away iodine, and this can lead to iodine deficient crops and vegetables. So how do the vegetables get iodine? They get it from their soil, from the soil. That's where they get their minerals. So if the soil where they come from are deficient in iodine, that is also going to become a problem for us. And then loss of iodine from salt. Like if you are storing iodized salt in warm places, maybe you are storing it near a fireplace, likewise the iodine can evaporate. So that is going to reduce the effectiveness of iodine coming from salt. These are the causes of iodine deficiency. If you make sure that you take in iodized salt and other iodine-rich foods, that it can help you to prevent any iodine deficiencies. And then the effects of iodine deficiency. A decrease in thyroxine production. That means iodine is essential for the thyroid gland to produce thyroxine, which is a hormone that regulates our metabolism. So if there's any deficiency, that is going to lower the hormone production, thyroxine hormone production. And then prone to develop goiter. So goiter means a condition where the thyroid gland enlarges, and it happens when it tries to compensate for the lack of iodine. If there is not enough iodine in your body and the thyroid gland needs it to produce thyroxine, but if it doesn't get the required amount of iodine, it's going to overwork itself and make itself enlarged. So that is how goiter occurs. Goiter can happen for a person, and if somebody is iodine deficient, that can cause a person to develop goiter. And then slowing of mental development. Iodine deficiency can also affect our brain function, and it can lead to different types of cognitive impairments and developmental delays, especially in children. That means children at their very early ages, that is when their brain starts to function really well, they have a lot of cognitive functions, they have a lot of brain functions going on at that age. So if they are iodine deficient, this is really going to cause a problem in their development. Then poor concentration means lack of iodine can affect brain activity, like I said before, making it difficult for people to focus or stay attentive, to have proper attention. And then poor school performance. So with all these factors that we talked about, children with iodine deficiency, they often struggle with learning and memory. So that can lead to poor school performances. And then stunted growth or retarded growth means iodine deficiency can slow the overall growth of a person, especially in children. So it's important that you consume iodine-rich foods like seafood, dairy, eggs, and iodized salt in order to prevent these issues. So here you can see the preventive actions that can be taken to reduce iodine deficiency. So number one is to use iodized salt when cooking, and also add a lot of fish and sea vegetables to the diet. So here you can see the type of green leafy vegetables and sea vegetables. So sea vegetables, in the sense what they mean by that term, are the seaweeds mainly. And then there are sea fish, salia, spreads, prawns and crabs, and other food, mainly iodized salt. So make sure you add all these food rich in vitamin A to your diet. Let's talk about calcium deficiency. So there are two main causes of calcium deficiency. One is lack of intake of food rich in calcium. That means you are not consuming enough dairy products, leafy greens, nuts and fish. This can also lead to calcium deficiency. The other one is consuming food that obstructs the absorption of calcium. There are certain foods that contain different compounds like oxalates. You might not be familiar with the word. Oxalates, phytates, these are some of the compounds found in certain types of vegetables, sometimes even in grains. So these can interfere with calcium absorption. And also even caffeinated beverages like coffee is another food which can obstruct the absorption of calcium. And then as a result of calcium deficiency, there are certain harmful effects like osteoporosis, tooth decay, and growth retardation, means poor growth, can happen. And then if we look at the preventive actions that can be taken to reduce calcium deficiency, one thing is increase the intake of food rich in calcium. So in the figure given here, you can see the types of food rich in calcium, and also increase the intake of food rich in vitamin D. Because vitamin D is another nutrient which should be there in our body in order for our body to absorb calcium from the food we eat. So both should be there. So we need to take in foods rich in calcium as well as foods rich in vitamin D. And then also consume food that helps to absorb calcium, like lactose containing food. The availability of lactose in our body is also going to help absorb calcium. The last type of deficiency that we are going to talk about is zinc deficiency. Zinc is an important mineral for our body. So there are many reasons why it's important. It strengthens the immunity system, which we need to fight against diseases. And also it helps the breakdown of carbohydrates in our food. And also it helps in cell division of our body. So if somebody is having a zinc deficiency, that can lead them to have frequent infections. They might get infected very often, and also they might have problems in their growth, either delayed growth or stunted growth. So the way to prevent zinc deficiency is to take in a lot of foods rich in protein. Why? Because zinc is found in protein-rich foods such as beans, red meat, peanuts, and other types of marine foods. We have come to the last part of this lesson, and it's about the steps that can be taken to prevent nutritional problems. So one is pregnant mothers should be made aware of the importance of colostrum in milk, because colostrum is rich in vitamin A. Also, it's important and that the breastfeeding moms exclusively breastfeed their babies during the first 6 months, because it provides all the necessary nutrients for the baby's physical and mental development. And the next point is having a well-balanced, healthy diet. It's important for all of us to prevent nutritional problems. And then have your meals at regular times and try not to skip your breakfast. Also get used to the habit of taking natural food instead of fast food, which is high in fat, sugar most of the time. So try as much as possible to avoid instant food, and also try to take in 5 portions of vegetables and fruits in your daily diet. And also you have to be mindful that food advertised does not contain the nutrients it is claimed to have. There are lots of problems out there when you take a certain processed food packet from the supermarket or maybe whatever the grocery store. You might read that it has a certain nutrient and it's clearly saying that on its label. But most of these foods, although they advertise like that, they actually don't have that nutrient in the food. So you really have to be mindful about it. And then it's always good to engage in daily physical exercise and spend the day actively. That is also going to be really important to stay healthy in the long run. And daily intake of water for a healthy person should be 1.5 to 2 liters. So make sure that you drink enough water. So whenever you feel thirsty, also make sure that you drink clean water, not just any water. Try drinking clean water. And also large portions of seasonal food to be consumed during the season. When you get the season, like when you come to that particular season, mango, rambutan, these are seasonal fruits, but they're also really good. They have certain types of minerals in them. So have these fruits whenever you can. And also consume food to fulfill the daily requirement of calories. Make sure you meet the daily required amount of calories through your food. That brings us to the end of the lesson. There are a few more parts of this lesson to come. So thank you very much for listening and stay tuned for more lessons.